We're here on week 5. This is a little bit of a shorter week, so I structured things with not having it, even though we do have a day 1 and a day 2 of in class for A and B. I'm going to just focus that we're going to do like a day 1, and then your day 2 should be focused on the in class. So both groups I will take through the Nehru discussion and the Vadney reading, and you'll get a chance to kind of talk about it with me in class, and then we'll go through the summative, which is a graphic organizer related to Jawaharlal Nehru, the first prime minister of an independent India. So to start with, we're just going to do kind of a brief look at some of the short and long-term effects of Indian independence by using some of his speeches that he gave. And so we're just kind of doing a basic look at some of his words. And this kind of applies a little bit back to last week's summative with his words as it reflects in the partition, which he obviously was very much against and didn't think that it would lead to positive things for either the Muslim or Hindu group as far as a nation state. Then you're going to move on to this reading. So this Vadney reading, which is about 5 pages, is really kind of focused on those post-term effects of Indian independence. And then ultimately what you are going to create is a graphic organizer looking at the social, economic, or political impact of independence. And so basically, these are kind of the questions that we're focused on. You're going to use that Vadney reading, which is attached here again, to complete this graphic organizer. And this graphic organizer will basically kind of be the element that you're going to use to break down, very similar to like last week, that idea of the point and the counterpoint. Because in all of these subjects, in all these topics, we want to really kind of look at like, well, what is the point and what is the counterpoint? And so your point and counterpoint, or your argument and counter argument, are all going to be kind of focused in these things. You're going to look at what were the social impacts on those who were the poorest Indians. Remember the untouchables and the role that Gandhi had for them, and then how Nehru kind of looks at that differently. Many of you in the last discussion with Gandhi talked about the Indian Act and how that played a role in kind of, eliminating some of the social and economic divisions that had existed in India prior to independence. And then the next thing is to look at kind of the counter and the point and counterpoint of the effect of global positioning. India becomes the largest democratic state in the world. And so look at some of the impact and the effects that Vadney talks about with respect to that. And then lastly, look at the effectiveness. How effective were the political and social impacts on India within? A big part of this is discussion that comes in the reading about the Green Revolution and India as its growth as an economically agricultural state. And then look at some of the least effective effects. What are the roles of India as kind of a nuclear power or as a democratic power in the United Nations? And so all those things I want you to kind of focus on as you complete this graphic organizer. Ultimately, you really want to kind of look at like how well you're able to prepare for an essay test. I know it says here in the test, eventually you're going to have to do in a final version of this a preparation as if you were going to get an essay and have to sit here and write it out. And so that's kind of the whole element of we're kind of working and piecing together different pieces and ways that you can answer the 3 sections. And we'll get into a more about like how we're going to put that together for a graphic organizer, because all of these are just little pieces of a bigger question and a bigger graphic organizer. So that's what we have for this shortened week. If you have any questions, please ask while you're in class. Otherwise, we'll see you after the 4-day break.